owns our knowledge? To answer that, we need to enter the murky world of publishing empires, Robert Maxwell, global politics, money, and even censorship. So let's start with knowledge production. Scientists and researchers don't just study whatever they like. What gets researched often depends on funders, governments, charities, corporations, who hold the purse strings. This isn't ownership necessarily, but it does shape what knowledge gets produced and what doesn't. This is the first step in which knowledge can be suppressed. If production isn't strictly ownership of knowledge, then access definitely is. Most academic research ends up in journals, locked behind expensive paywalls. To make research accessible, researchers, institutions, or funders are required to pay article processing charges, up to $12,000, and that is per paper, not for a whole journal. Academic libraries can be charged for expensive subscription deals, or so-called transformative agreements, and these costs are often hidden behind NDAs. And this results in a triple charging where authors, readers, and institutions are charged for the research. And all of this restricts access to those who can afford it or who are fortunate enough to be at well-financed institutions. And if you're not a researcher, then access can be even harder, not only financially, but the writing and technical language can be highly inaccessible. Ownership can be restricted through language, education, accessibility, and financial resources. And these publisher business models have an ever darker history. And that takes us to one Robert Maxwell. Yes, that Maxwell. British Member of Parliament, publisher and business owner, spy, alleged, and fraudster who defrauded a pension fund of £400 million. Before that could ever go to court, Maxwell died at sea under mysterious circumstances. But let's just focus on his impact on publishing. Maxwell made two key realizations when it comes to academic publishing. The first was that every journal that publishes academic papers could establish a monopoly and charge outrageous fees for the transmission of knowledge. The second was that he also realised that he could capture other people's labour and resources for free. Together, these form the bedrock of modern academic publishing and have resulted in a system that is rapidly breaking. Maxwell termed academic publishing as a perpetual financing machine. And this business doesn't stop at publishing. The companies that own the big academic publishers also own the entire knowledge ecosystem, from what is funded to discovery to research assessment. But who actually owns the knowledge we produce? For decades, the answer was simple: academic publishers. When researchers published their work, they signed away their copyright. The license associated with a scientific article can heavily restrict who can use the work, and this is where Creative Commons comes in. This is a framework of license options that make it easier for researchers to make their work open or closed. Researchers can select a specific license that restricts commercial reuse, derivatives, require sharing under the same license, or to provide attribution. This gives researchers more say over ownership and potential reuse of their work. And things are slowly changing, thanks to government and funder pressure to make research more open. But we're still a long way from the public, who pay for most science through taxes and donations, actually owning the knowledge. Many researchers still sign away their rights over to publishers. And these publishers use courts and other forms of pressure to keep that ownership. But even if the knowledge we produce is in the public domain, which is not common, there are additional filters and barriers to true ownership. An open license that allows reuse on a scientific article that has no costs to access is technically knowledge that we could say we own. But ownership does not mean that we can use that knowledge or that it is not controlled. The communication of knowledge represents a barrier as it is filtered through politics, media companies, and social media platforms. And here's the kicker. Most of those outlets are owned by powerful corporations, often with clear political leanings, right-wing leanings. In 2025, we're also seeing the impact of political interference over the control of knowledge. This is leading to false information spreading, the dismantling of science and evidence, and ultimately, significant harm to the health of people. So what knowledge spreads and how it spreads is far from neutral. Still, there are cracks in the system. The scientific publishing system is straining under the pressure. Peer review is being revealed as a useless quality control system on an almost daily basis thanks to AI. Projects like Wikipedia, movements like open access publishing, and even Sci-Hub, which is somewhat controversial, are pushing knowledge back into the hands of everyone. It's messy, it's imperfect, but it's a glimpse of what a more open future could look like. So who owns our knowledge? The production of knowledge is far from as open and free as it perhaps should be. The knowledge that is produced is often owned by large corporations, publishers who restrict access. But even when it is not, the communication and accessibility of knowledge is controlled by different large corporations and political entities. But one thing is clear. Global citizens who fund science through taxes and charitable donations most certainly do not own our knowledge. And maybe that's the real problem we need to solve. If you want to learn more about preprints, then check out Rippling Ideas, an advocacy and consulting organisation led by the world-leading preprint experts with a people and evidence-driven approach that you won't find anywhere else. Head to ripplingideas.org to learn more about preprints and see even more resources. Sign up to our newsletter to keep up to date with our latest efforts and a monthly roundup of relevant news. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button below too.